Lots of AI gurus on the internet want to teach you better prompts. And look, prompts matter. But if you're trying to get AI to do real work in your business, actual workflows, actual systems, a better prompt is not your problem. Your problem is that you skip the planning. And when it comes to complex processes and automation, planning will do more to improve AI's performance than any prompt framework ever will. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that planning step by step. Here's what I mean. You've probably heard me say that whatever you're working on AI, you should always start with the problem and not the tool. Don't open ChatGPT and look for something to do with it. Start with the problem that you need to solve and then figure out how AI can help. Well, the same principle applies at a bigger scale. When you're trying to build AI into an actual business workflow, something like responding to customer emails or onboarding new clients, you need to start with your process. What are the steps? What decisions do you make? Where does information move from one place to another? Because if you don't know that, the AI sure won't either. You can write the most beautiful prompt in the world and the AI will still produce the wrong output if it's plugged into the wrong place in your workflow. So today we're going to fix that. I'm going to walk you through something called process mapping, specifically how to create a process map for AI systems. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to take any process in your business, map it out visually, and figure out exactly where AI fits before you build anything. I'm Rob Fernango with the AI Growth Accelerator. I spent 27 years in data science and analytics, and I teach small business owners to use AI tools to streamline their operations, be their personal business analysts, and strategic decision-making partners. And this process mapping approach is how I plan every single automation I build, before I write a single prompt or connect a single tool. All right, so let me start with the mistake, because I bet money at least one of these things is going to sound familiar. I built the AI system, but it doesn't fit how I actually work. The output is close, but I always have to redo it. I'm not sure where AI should even go in my process. All three of these come from the same place. We jumped into the tool before we defined the process. We got excited about what AI can do, and we skipped the most important step, which was understanding what we do first. Because here's the reality. If you can't clearly explain your process to another person, you definitely can't explain it to an AI. The AI needs a map. And today, we're going to build one. Literally. Now, a process map is just a visual diagram that shows every step in a workflow from start to finish. That's it. It's not complicated. It's not some enterprise-only thing that requires a degree in project management. It answers three questions. What steps are involved? In what order do they happen? And where are the decisions, handoffs, and stopping points? Think of it like a GPS for your workflow. You wouldn't drive somewhere you've never been without directions, right? We all pull out our phones now and punch in the address. Well, a process map does the same thing for your AI system. It shows you the route from start to finish, so you're not guessing your way through it. And you only need 4 symbols to build one. A rounded rectangle for your start and end points, a regular rectangle for any action or step, a diamond for decisions, usually yes or no questions, and arrows connecting everything to show the direction of the flow. 4 shapes. That's it. You can map out almost any process in your business with just these 4 things. All right, now here's the method. It's 5 steps and they go in order, so don't skip ahead. 1. Choose a process. 2. Brain dump every step. 3. Build the visual map. 4. Identify your decision points, handoffs, and bottlenecks. And 5. Review the whole thing to figure out where AI fits in. And that last part is critical. We don't even think about AI until step 5. The whole point is to understand the process as a human first, and then figure out where the AI belongs. So let me walk you through each step using a real example, responding to a customer inquiry email. It's a simple process, something almost every business does, and it's a great first candidate for an AI workflow. Now, when you're picking a process to map, you want to look for something that checks a few boxes. It should be something that's generally done manually, something you're doing yourself by hand or by brain. It should be repetitive. something you do the same basic way every time. And it should be something generally time consuming, because if it only takes you 10 seconds to do it, then there's not much time to save. And it should be clearly defined, meaning it has a clear start and a clear end with very clear steps in between. Good examples include responding to customer inquiry emails like we will today, writing and scheduling social media posts, onboarding a new client, or writing product descriptions. Now, here's the test. If you try to explain how you do something and your answer starts with, well, it depends on the situation, that's probably not the best one to start with. You want a process where you can say, I start here, I do these things, and I end up here. Save the messy, judgment-heavy stuff for later once you've gotten the hang of all of this. For this walkthrough, we're going with responding to a customer inquiry email. It's a familiar task, it's repetitive, and it has a clear AI fit. So let's go do the brain dump. Before you open any software, before you touch any diagramming tool, grab a piece of paper, open a blank doc, whatever you want, and just write down everything you do in this process. Use action verbs when you write down each step. Things like open, read, write, check, or send. But don't worry about organizing it. Don't worry about making it pretty. Just capture everything that you do, every step in that process. So for our email example, here's what that brain dump might look like. 1, I receive an email in Gmail. 2, I read the email to understand the question or issue. 3, I decide, is this a common question or something unusual that I might have to look into? 4, if it's common, I look up a standard answer. I use my FAQs and my internal policies. 5, if it's unusual, I research it or escalate it. 6, I draft a reply. 7, I review that draft against the original email. 8, I decide, should I edit this or should I send it? 9, if it needs editing, I edit it and I loop back to review again. And then 10, I send the reply. And 11, I log the interaction in a CRM. Now, if you're watching this and you're already thinking about which process in your business you'd map out first, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really does help this channel reach more small business owners who need this kind of guidance. And if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and do that too. I test AI tools, build real workflows, and share the honest results every week. No hype, no fluff, just straight talk you can use. All right, now we're ready for step 3. We take that brain dump and we turn it into an actual visual diagram. The translation is straightforward. Every action becomes a rectangle, every decision becomes a diamond with branches. The start and end points get those rounded rectangles, and arrows connect everything. We work from left to right or from top to bottom. And for a basic process like this, you only need one lane, meaning everything stays in sort of one track. You're not dealing with multiple departments here where there are handoffs from one person to another. It's just you and your workflow. So here's what that completed email inquiry process map looks like. And I'm going to walk through this with you so you can see how the brain dump translates into the actual diagram. We're going to start over on the side here with receive email in Gmail. That's our trigger, our starting point. Then we move to read email to understand the questions or issues. Then we hit our first decision diamond. Is this a common question or something unusual? If it's a common question or process, we go down to look up a standard answer using our FAQs or other policy documents. If it's an unusual question, we go to research or escalate, and that might involve a human digging deeper or passing it to someone on the team for research. Either way, both paths converge back at draft a reply. Then we move on to review a draft, which leads to our second decision. Do we edit or send it? If it needs editing, then we go to edit the reply and then loop back to that same decision point. We keep cycling through the edit and review until we're happy with it. Once we decide to send, then we send the reply, log the interaction in our CRM, and the process ends. And notice something important. There's this loop in here. That edit, review, decide cycle can happen multiple times. Your process map should capture that kind of reality and not pretend that everything is perfectly linear when it's not. Now that we have the map built, we go back through and start marking things up. And this is where the map goes from being a nice diagram to an actual planning tool. First are your decision points. Those are the diamonds. I've colored them yellow, or in this case, orange, or some distinct color so that they pop on the diagram and you can see where the decisions are occurring. In our example, we have two: common or unusual questions, and then editing or sending the reply. And these are the moments where the process branches, and they're going to be important when we figure out what the AI can handle versus what needs human. Next are your handoffs, where work moves from one system to another or from one person to another. In this process, you're moving between Gmail and your own reading and judgment, maybe between a knowledge base where your FAQs live and possibly a CRM for logging. And you want to mark those transitions with different colors as well. So I've used blue here to show moving from Gmail to reading and interpreting the email. And then I have the research and escalate and looking up a standard answer. These are something that a human might do also. And so that's going from the email to however we're researching it. So that's a different system. Then drafting the reply is back in the Gmail system. And then we go to reviewing the draft, which is, again, moving out of that Gmail system. Editing the reply is something that is done differently. And then sending a reply back into Gmail here. Logging the interaction, I made that green because it's in the CRM and we only hit it once. And so that really shows how I've color-coded transitioning from one system to another, so you get a sense of how we're moving back and forth in this workflow. Now, here's where it gets really useful. Go through every step on your map and ask yourself 4 questions. How long does this step take? How often does it have to be redone? Which steps do I dread or consistently put off? And where do errors or inconsistencies happen most? For our email example, the bottlenecks are pretty clear. Reading a long or confusing email and extracting the actual question, that will take some time. Then you have researching or escalating an unusual question, or looking up even a standard answer and digging through the FAQs and policy documents. That's going to take some time. Drafting a well-written reply will take some time to do. And also editing that reply until it's right can take some time. The quick stuff? Well, reviewing the draft, deciding to send it or edit it, actually hitting the send button when you get to that point, and then logging the interaction. Those really aren't bottlenecks that I'm focused on right now. So we're going to stick with the ones that I've outlined in orange here. These are the bottlenecks that we're going to have. All right, this is the moment we've been building toward. We've mapped the process. We've marked the bottlenecks. Now we finally get to ask, where does the AI fit? Now, for every bottleneck and time sink you highlighted, you're going to ask 3 questions. Question 1, is this step based on a pattern or a rule? If yes, AI can probably handle it on its own. Question 2, does the step require judgment about a unique situation? If yes, a human should own it, or at least review what the AI produces. And question 3, what would go wrong if AI got this step wrong? The higher the risk, the more you need to have a human reviewing the output. And here's the principle to remember. AI is great for patterns. Humans are great for judgment. Your process map tells you where each one belongs in the overall workflow. In our email example, reading the email and extracting the key questions, that's pattern-based and AI can do that. Looking up standard answers from your FAQs or policy docs, that's also pattern-based and AI can do that. Drafting a reply based on that information, AI can generate that. But researching an unusual question that falls outside your standard policies, that takes human judgment. And reviewing the final draft before it goes to a customer, also human. Deciding on whether a response to an upset client needs a personal touch, that is definitely human. Once you've identified where AI fits, it helps to label what the AI is actually doing at each step. And you can group this into one of 3 different roles. The first is an extractor. That's where AI pulls key information out of a longer input. In our example, that's reading the incoming email and pulling out the specific questions or issues. It's also extracting the relevant answers from your knowledge documents or FAQs. The second role is a classifier or router. That's where AI reads an input and decides what category it belongs to. In our example, that's the decision about whether the email contains common questions or something unusual. Your AI reads the questions, checks them against your knowledge documents, and then routes accordingly. And the third role is a generator. That's where AI creates content from scratch or from a template. And in our example, that's drafting the reply email. You want to label each AI step on your map with its role: extractor, classifier, or generator. It makes the whole thing clearer, and it's going to help you tremendously when you actually go to build the system. Now, here's the piece that a lot of people miss. AI doesn't know your business unless you tell it about your business. And the way you do that is through knowledge documents. For every step where AI is involved, ask yourself this question: what would I give a brand new employee to read before they could do this step successfully? Whatever that answer is, that's your knowledge document. For our email process, those might include your brand voice guide so the AI writes in your tone instead of like a robot, your products or service facts, your policies around returns, refunds, or pricing, your standard offers, maybe your brand messaging and positioning documents. And you can see on this map how I've added a document reference showing tone of voice, offers, policies, FAQs, and brand messaging, all feeding into the steps where the AI needs the context. Now, I haven't done it here, but you could attach a note to each AI step on your map listing which knowledge documents it needs. This is what separates an AI that sounds like a generic chatbot from one that sounds like it actually belongs in your business. All right, here's the last piece, and I'm going to be direct about this. You always want to keep a human in the loop, especially when output goes directly to a customer, or when a financial decision is being made, or when the situation is unusual or emotionally charged, or when sensitive information is involved, and definitely when your brand reputation is on the line. In our email process, that human review gate is right here after the AI drafts the reply, but before anything gets sent. You review the draft, you decide whether to edit or send. Even though the AI did the heavy lifting, you make the final call. Mark every human review point on your map with a distinct color and label it human review or human decision. The AI can draft it, but you decide. That's the rule. All right, let me wrap this up with 5 takeaways. 1. Map the manual process before you build the AI system. Every time, no exceptions. 2. Start small. Pick one process. Do it completely. Map it, identify the AI steps, identify the knowledge documents, and finish it before you move on to the next one. 3. AI works best on pattern-based steps. Generating content, classifying inputs, extracting information. Look for those in your process. 4. Knowledge documents are what make the AI sound like you and work for your business. Treat the AI like a new employee. Give it everything it needs to succeed. And 5. Never remove the human from the customer-facing outputs. AI drafts, you decide. Every time. Now look, what I just walked you through is the planning side of this, and it's powerful on its own. But in the AI Growth Accelerator, my membership community, this is where we go deeper. We don't just map the process. We build the actual automated systems. We create the knowledge documents. We set up the workflows and tools like make.com using real AI APIs. I even have a process mapping checklist inside the membership that walks you through every single step we covered today so you don't miss anything. This is the kind of approach that we take inside the AI Growth Accelerator. It's not just about write a prompt that does X, but actually planning, building, and deploying AI systems that work for your specific business. And if that sounds like what you need, then check out the AI Growth Accelerator. I put the link in the description. I'm Rob Fernango from the AI Growth Accelerator. Your success is my mission. Now, go get mapping those processes so you can take advantage of AI in your business.